From Legal Mindset, the quartering lawsuit. Is Jeremy Hambley's career over? I wonder what he's going to say about this. He's probably going to agree, but he's probably going to say that it's probably not over. He's just going to be a lol cow. But let's see what he's got to say. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's got some information that I don't know when it comes to the law.
Jeremy Hambley of TheQuartering is now facing a threat of a class action lawsuit for his false flagging and other untoward behavior online. We're reading that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. So in case you guys haven't been paying attention, Jeremy Hambley, aka TheQuartering, is in a deep online battle right now over allegations of false flagging behavior, targeting detractors on YouTube as people end up speaking up, doing live streams, putting up videos. They're being taken down. They're being
I just want to know why the fuck YouTube's not doing anything about this, because they know it's happening.
Hit with strikes. They're being flagged through the YouTube system. So there's this deep battle going on right now with Jeremy Hambley, which we covered previously. But now we have a new threat of a class action lawsuit for his false flagging behavior and alleged abuse of the DMCA system. So we're going to get that today, as well as some of the recent developments, which kind of add another light to this and perhaps another angle for this legally. So let's get into first some of the things that have been going down recently. So one of the things that happened very recently was Jeremy Hambley had this TISM podcast that he did with Bering and Count Dankula, and that was deleted or taken down today. Now, initially, I
watched a lot of that at live because I'm a big Count Dankula fan. I don't know much about that guy Barry, and I know I heard some of the degenerate shit from Hambley, but I kind of just didn't really care because I listen to a lot of degenerates. So I watched Lol Cal live, and what those people do over there. Way worse than what Hambley does. It's just that Hambley is on a bigger scale, so it seems worse. I guess it would be worse, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying.
Action by Jeremy was as follows, saying, hey, every live stream I've ever done has now disappeared from YouTube, and my podcast channel with two friends, that's the TISM podcast with Bering and Count Dankula, seems to have been banned. I'm sure it's totally not false flaggers and just a coincidence. So
yeah, it happened on Rumble and on BitChute too at the same time. That's crazy, right? Two platforms that it's almost impossible to get banned from.
Saying I'm sure it's totally not false flaggers and just a coincidence. So going to accusing others of false flagging at first. Well, hours later, he goes back to say, look, this was my fault. I was not clear on the videos I wanted my editor to delete. I'm working to restore what I can, and we'll give the boys all the episodes of TISM to re-upload 100%. I've just been testing a theory that live streams drag channels down. And of course, he was community noted immediately, saying these videos were actually deleted by him unilaterally. So that podcast that he did with two others deleted unilaterally by him. That's a potential legal problem. This was followed up, of course, by...
Yeah, that is a major problem. I'm pretty sure they can sue him for that, because that is lost revenue. That is a lost project that they were involved in, that they had access to themselves, that he just decided to take down without telling them about it.
Many others who commented on this, such as Shoe on Head, saying, hey, why would you, even imply that this was false flagged, because it's kind of clear to see through the system which ones are false flagged, which ones are not, which ones are banned. So it's very easy.
I think because he's not living in reality. He's untethered from reality, as Sidney Watson would say.
Also, he was kind of presenting himself as the victim there, and Bering, even his podcast co-host, who had the episodes which he and Count Dankula were members of deleted, showed kind of the evolution here. The haters got our channel banned too. This is Bering's fault.
I thought it was hilarious when I opened up X and then I saw a post that said 2 minutes ago, Count Dankula, and he was pissed about Hambley just destroying this entire show. He's like, I woke up and this whole fucking thing was gone.
To it must be a YouTube glitch, to it's totally my editor's fault, advising him to stop and get some help, which I think is the right advice there. He also brought out the DMs with Jeremy, and if you see over here with this...
I think he's got wet brain. I think Hambley's got wet brain. You know what wet brain is?
Kind of back and forth. Bering says, are you going to flag the channels? And Quartering responds, yeah, I'm flagging everyone. I'm calling my rep. Everyone is getting banned. Now, Jeremy may be joking.
Okay, here we go. Wet brain, medically known as Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. I actually know a guy who has this, my stepdad. WKS, is a severe neurological disorder caused by a critical deficiency of thiamine, vitamin B1, while most commonly associated with chronic alcohol abuse due to poor nutrition and impaired absorption. Poor nutrition, definitely. It can also result from eating disorders, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, that he's definitely got that. The term is considered stigmatizing by medical professionals who prefer the clinical diagnosis of WKS to emphasize its nature as a treatable medical condition rather than a moral failing. Yeah, a treatable medical condition, but they never get it treated because they're alcoholics, and you can only treat it if they stop drinking. Oh, where am I? Okay, yeah, forgot. I'm in a different window.
Joking there, but this is not a time at which he should be really joking around, because in the midst of people that have very real claims against them, a judge can look at things and say, you know what, I don't know whether he's being sarcastic or not. We have to get discovery here. I'm not sure. His previous conversations with
discovery. Oh boy. I hope he gets sued. I want to see that discovery. I want it all to come out. He's totally fucked.
And other folks, and even his public post, make comments about him getting videos taken down, going to war, nuking everybody, taking all of their channels out, wiping them off on the internet. So, when he says this and says, everyone is crooked, remember, I can ban anyone I want, it's on. He may very well have been serious about that. And it seems like this is a case in which he could be behind this. All the evidence is pointing to him potentially being behind this based on his communications at large. So that brings us to getting down the line when we see this channel here, the TISM, the Incredible Salt Mine, which was banned. It brings us to the lawsuit. So this lawsuit was brought up by Chad Hughes, who threatens here the Jeremy.
He worked with somebody. He worked with somebody. He was like a game developer or something, right?
Armageddon begins Monday morning. If Kino Casino Clips isn't restored, we are drafting the document now for Team YouTube and Google, Mr. Jeremy Hambley and Melanie Mack. This is an opt-in with my law firm agreeing to take on if at least.
Yeah, he was. He worked for CryTek? Yeah, here we go. Yep, it's over. The bad boy, Ray Donovan of YouTube behind the scenes, the original bad boy of Twitch, speedrunning. I've come back because of this disgusting pig. And just so you know, I was the NA ambassador for CryTek and exposed their community treatment. Game time. It was CryTek. That's EA's thing, right? That was like, they ran the engine for Burnout and Crysis. Am I correct about that? I accidentally showed my Rumble. Whoops! I need to stop using this page. I'm just going to toss that on over there so I don't have to deal with that no more. Okay.
5 creators join. Quartering blocked me because I kept getting him ratioed with the truth. But he can't play power games against people who aren't afraid of his power and live in the real world. Andy Worski should be restored too. We need an apology from Germany as well. Accountability. He even dragged Chrissy Mayer into this and illegally forced her hand. That's not right. And they have this lawsuit drafted, and I have kind of the cover copy here. They have United States District Court Central District of California. Users affected by Jeremy Hambley, including.
So this isn't bullshit. He actually did this. Oh shit, dude.
But not limited to Kino Casino Clips against Jeremy Hambley, Alphabet, YouTube, etc. So this is kind of the cover for a potential class action. So let's get into whether or not this thing is going to.
Alphabet, by the way, is a company that owns Google. Google owns YouTube.
Whole weight and what I think. So first of all, with this, the applicable law for misrepresentation is under section 512F, which creates a private right of action for knowingly materially misrepresenting something in a DMCA takedown. So in this case, if you falsely flag a channel and hey, this thing is clearly fair use, or this thing is something that is clearly permissible, and I'm just flagging it to flag it, I'm flagging because I don't like them, etc. Yeah, that's not permitted. That gives you a private right.
And he admitted it. On X, he admitted it.
Right of action under 512F. Other false flags that are not DMCA, so other things that were submitted falsely or problematic, other causes would fall under tortious interference of contract. So that's something separate.
Not to mention all of the fucking defamation that he's been doing.
That's a separate civil claim that could be brought. In addition, Dankula and Bering, when they talk about the TISM podcast, depending on how they would want to deal with this, they might even have some sort of cause of action there because they would have a joint copyright ownership claim. So Jeremy essentially,
he lied to them and took it down without telling them about it and lied to them. And did I mention he lied to them?
1/3 owner of that did not, unless there's an agreement elsewise, have permission to just unilaterally delete stuff. Generally, that's something that you have to come to a consensus on, and you have to all agree, hey, this is what we're doing before you delete something and get rid of that. So,
and clearly they had access to it because they exposed him. Immediately Barry exposed him. So they had access to it. So it's easy to assume that they absolutely have 1/3 ownership.
That's a separate thing for those two based on that interaction. So what would happen with the class? Well, with the class action, I actually don't think this class action will go anywhere. Here's the reason why. Class actions are rarely permitted for fair use analysis and fair use cases because it's on a video by video analysis. You go through each video and you say, is this fair use? It's hard to lump 5, 10, 12, 30 videos together and say, yeah, they're all fair use. No, one could be fair use and another couldn't. That's how fair use works. That is the nature of fair use. If you think about the Ethan Klein case where he's facing Denham's, Casey Tron, and Frogan, in that case, Denham's could, for example, prevail and Frogan could lose. That's very much possible. Of course, Casey Tron has already settled, so she's already taken the L. In each particular case, they have to analyze the video to see, okay, exactly how much was used, how was it transformative, what's the commercial nature. That's something that's case by case. So in this case, it would be much...
And what was the attitude around it when it was done? That's why I think that it could go through, is because of his attitude about it. Because that definitely plays a part. That plays a role in how they look at it in court.
Better and smarter if the individual lawsuits...
Denham's is in trouble because she said that she was trying to get people to hate watch Ethan by watching hers and not watching his. It's crazy. Crazy, right? And she just fucking say that out loud. Hambly did something worse. Okay.
Have a higher chance of success. It'd also be quicker, 6 months versus 2 years. Also, well-drafted cases are going to have a huge possibility of surviving a motion to dismiss, about a 70 to 80% chance.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take so fucking long. By the time this lawsuit would actually be going through, I think we'd be done with Jeremy Hambly, and he'll just be solidified as a lolcow.
They're really well written in this manner. And because the point of a lawsuit against Jeremy Hambly in TheQuartering is for nuisance value, to get him to settle. It's not to go through trial and to win. It's not to get some sort of massive thing after a jury verdict, etc. It's to get him to settle this, to get it to go away, because essentially it's going to cost him attorney's fees, time, discovery. He's going to have all his emails out there, all of his communications, and he doesn't want that. So what is that? Well, that is about in the case of nuisance value, defending even one federal DMCA case can cost $50K to $300K. So anywhere in that range is very much reasonable for a federal DMCA case. So if he's trying to quickly settle these cases, and I've worked on these sort of situations when I was corporate counsel and dealing with these sorts of transactions, you can see these settled for $5K, $10K, $20K, $25K, very routinely, just as a go away cost, as a, hey, we don't want to spend even our staff time on this. Let's just get rid of this for, $5K, $10K, $20K. And that could be very, very reasonable if it was one person. But the problem is this could be dozens of people, dozens of creators coming after Hambly. So for example, if you had a dozen cases at $10K each, well, then you've easily got over $100K. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And rumors are spreading, of course, that Jeremy Hambly is in a dire financial situation. So here's my final judgment. Hambly is digging himself deeper in with potential legal trouble in what he's saying. Now,
it's getting worse, and I think it's going to keep getting worse.
Not everything he's done is necessarily illegal. The person in the original post commented about Chrissy Mayer. Nothing about his sort of relationship with Chrissy Mayer appears to be illegal or merit a lawsuit there. That seems to be a stretch. However, some of these comments he's making about flagging channels, etc., or the desire to flag channels, desire to ban people, or his influence with YouTube, those could be used against him. That is something that potentially could be damaging for.
And also, why the fuck isn't YouTube doing anything? because this is not allowed per YouTube.
Jeremy. And reports of his dire financial situation put an incentive on small creators to file these nuisance claims. And they can go to a single law firm, go to that one law firm, and that law firm can come up with a very good form, a very good strategy for doing this, and file all of these small lawsuits in order to get Jeremy to be hit with that nuisance value that could exceed 100K, 200K, etc. if he settled these all out. So Jeremy could be in some hot water. But I want to know what you guys think. Is Jeremy Hambley of TheQuartering finished? Let me know in the comments below. And
it's over. He's cooked. He's fat. He's a loser. He's broke. Everyone hates him. Oh, whoops, wrong thing. Damn, dude, I really need to fix my fucking OBS. Buy a mug. Link in the description. Folly Town mugs.
Adios, turd nuggets.